G'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Investing Machine. Got a really interesting company to talk about today. They're based in the US and their name is Veeva Systems. You can see here I've got them up on screen just on Google. We can see their fantastic 1 year growth going from a low of $138 in March all the way up to now well over $300. So what is Veeva Systems? What do they do? And are they worthy of your investment dollars? Let's jump into the company and find out. We can see here Veeva Systems is an American cloud computing company that focuses on pharmaceutical and life science industry applications. Their aim really is to connect pharmaceutical companies to doctors and then customers to doctors, and it enables the digitalization of the entire industry. It's a really exciting product line they've got, and their financial results are absolutely fantastic. They came up as one of the top companies in my US growth stock screen. You can see that screen here on FinViz, and here they are over here in spot number 3, sorted by market cap. So if you want to have a look at all of these filters I applied, I went over my stock screening in a live stream. I'll put a link up to that on screen now so you can check out that video for yourself. So I thought what we do is go through one of Veeva's presentations, have a look at the company, maybe show a video of their software in action, and go over why they're good value and potentially why you might like to invest in them. Now, just a note, this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Before making any investment decisions, please do your own research and consult a licensed financial advisor. So the presentation I wanted to go through is their Analyst and Investor Day presentation from October 2020. It's pretty current. Obviously, there's been a couple of releases since then, but this gives us a great snapshot of the company. Straight off the bat, we can see Peter Gassner. He's their CEO and co-founder, and this is really important because their co-founder is still involved in the company. We all know that company founders work harder than anybody else at a company. So for me, it's a very important thing to see Peter involved with the company. So here they talk about their year of innovation, and we'll jump into exactly what that means. We can see they've released their first consumer applications, which are available to patients and doctors. This allows patients to give things like consent, do video doctor interviews, and also subscribe to new products the doctor might be offering. Focusing now on their clinical vision. So this is the side of the business that works with clinical trials. Currently, clinical trials involve a lot of paperwork, and Veeva is just getting started on digitalizing that process. Clinical trials are historically very long-winded, very difficult to get a good result from, and there's obviously a huge amount of data involved. Veeva looks to streamline this process through their software and help get things to market quicker. We can see here how this integration works for clinical trials. We've got the Veeva resource in the middle, and everything is integrated. The sites where the testing takes place, the patients who are signing up for the testing, and then the vaccine or other drug manufacturers which are sponsoring the clinical trial. This slide talks a little bit about their Vault platform, and we can see all of the elements that this assists people with. It includes clinical data management, clinical operations, quality control, regulatory approvals, and drug safety. So it's a fully integrated model, and this is really focused at the clinical trial environment. And here's some targeted data on their progress in this clinical trial market. We can see they've got 100 trials in process for 40 plus customers. So we can see it's all about the data capture and verification, the clinical coding, and cleaning and formatting the data ready for FDA approval. And this slide gives us a bit of a snapshot of that process. So we can see it's all about collecting the data, formatting it, analyzing it, and then submitting it to the regulators. And obviously they have a piece of software, CBD, Stats, and Vault RIM, and also Vault EDC, which enable every step of the process to be digitalized. They're marketing this as a complete solution, and it's aimed at taking, as we discussed, clinical trials away from being paper-based and making it fully digital. Now, we touched on this before. This is their MyVeeva software, which is primarily for patients. We talked about a little bit about what this can do, and this slide really outlines exactly what it can do. E-consent, which is giving virtual consent to doctors. virtual visits, adherence, and e-source, which is sourcing medications and that sort of thing. So it's a very powerful application which allows a lot of the medical process to be digitalized. Here we can see a snapshot of how the industry is progressing to what they're dubbing telemedicine. We can see the patients using telemedicine. There's been a substantial increase going from less than 1% to 10%, but it's more concentrated on the doctors. We can see a huge jump from 3% to 42%. Now, a lot of this will be because doctors are worried about their own personal safety. If they're not sick and they want to keep their family that way as well, telemedicine is a great option for them. We definitely know this has been accelerated by the events in 2020, but I think this is a trend that will continue. Obviously, a safe work environment is a priority for anyone, not just doctors. Now, these next two slides give us a real idea of what a doctor has to do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to dealing with pharmaceutical companies. Each pharmaceutical company wants a doctor to use their specific drugs, and to do that, there's a lot of different integration that needs to go on. We can see all the different interactions a healthcare professional has with a pharmaceutical company, and there's quite a lot going on here. There's dealing with a rep, there's dealing with reimbursement, and there's dealing with all the information that they need to know about a particular product. Obviously, this process grows in complexity when we know that it's not just one drug that a doctor is looking to prescribe. There's going to be multiple pharmaceutical companies they need to deal with on a daily basis. Staying up to date with the latest deals, with the latest promotions, with the latest safety information about all of these drugs from all of these different pharmaceutical companies proves to be an extremely complex task, and this is one of the primary functions of the Veeva software for healthcare professionals. We can see here exactly how it works. So it's about connecting with reps, it's searching for brands, companies, and different medicines, and then it's also about consent and service. So informing the patient of what they need to know and then getting their consent digitally to use a particular drug. It's a really streamlined and it is a great package system which no doubt makes life easier for healthcare professionals. There's a little demonstration that they also give during this presentation, so I'll play a little bit of that for you now so you can get a better understanding of exactly how this works.
I can see that I have a suggestion here from HQ. This information helps me define the next best action to engage with my HCP through multiple channels. Before my call detail with Dr. DiFilippo, I can open up his profile where I can see all the information I need to prepare. Let me take a look at his multi-channel timeline view to see what activity has taken place on the account across the organization.
Now, just to touch a little bit on their financials, we can see here how their revenue has been increasing so consistently year on year, and also their operating income has been increasing following that revenue. It's been ultra consistent, and this is exactly what we want to see in a very strong and stable growth company. They've also provided some 2025 targets, so we can see growing that revenue to almost $3 billion, and then going for an operating margin of 35+%, which is a huge margin, which gives the company a massive factor of safety. The company lists what they call their growth drivers, so we can see a white space market. They're really the only player in this market. There's multiple large market opportunities for them to expand into. There's expansion within customers, and this is about different doctors recommending the system to their colleagues. And then also they've got a proven innovation engine. We know that a lot of major pharmaceutical companies are using the Veeva software. This slide focuses on their customer adoption, and unsurprisingly, we can see the amount of customers is closely following their revenue pathway. Provided this keeps increasing, we can expect increased growth from the company. So to wrap things up, we can see their key takeaways. It's all about the consistent execution of the product, expanding into bigger markets, expanding customer adoption, which we just looked at, and then investing for growth beyond 2025. So the company is definitely looking ahead. They've got a strong suite of applications, some of which are really just getting started, like the clinical trial software. Overall, I think the company has a very bright future. We just looked at an Australian company which has a similar set of software, which is Pro Medicus. They perhaps focus more on medical imaging, but they're both in this medical software space. Both companies are demonstrating that the industry is doing really well for them. They've got extremely solid foundations. If you want to have a look at that video on Pro Medicus, this Australian medical software company, I'll put a link up on screen. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on Veeva. It's certainly one I've got very high on my watch list. Perhaps you've already invested, or maybe there's another company that I should be aware of and take a look at that is a competitor for Veeva. Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to like the video, leave a comment if you've got any questions, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching. That's all from me for this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.